Hello, I am Luos, and in this video for the ImpactFX pack I'm going to show you how to use the emitter collections to create a new and unique effect. I'll do my best to be both thorough and fast, but if you have any questions, do ask either here on YouTube or the Untitled forum threads about this package. That might be a bit more lengthy video, but once you understand the workflow, not even the sky will be a limit. Now, this is one of the effects that I made using the collections, and all the collections are stored in this particle system folder. And these are all collections filled to the brim with all kinds of effects and iterations on those effects. For instance, if I open the red ring collection, you can see that there are already 24 different ring effects. And as you can see, there are multiple ring collections, and each of them has at least 24 additional rings. And I named them all so you can easily pick them out. And if you want to go back and select something that's similar, you just know where to look because they're all named uniquely. Okay, yeah, let's just create a new effect then, I guess. So I'm gonna go to the examples folder in this case and create a new particle. I already have a setup here that only has the character that's same size as any normal human, 1 meter ADI. So I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna right mouse click on it and duplicate it. In this case, it's going to be ImpactFX 14. I'm going to open it and I'm going to drag it to another screen real quick because I need another collection. Let's start with a regular spark, something nice and clean, and I think I'm going to go for the star spark collection. I'm going to move my content browser away for a second, and these are the star sparks. These are basically very simple meshes with a nice and clean texture on it. I want to make something that's a bit more holy light-ish and looks a bit more like a triple punch kind of effect. So that's what I'm going to go for at least. Now, what you need to do now is go back to the new particle system, click on the magnifying glass, go back to the star spark collection, make sure that it's not singled out, right click on it, emitter, export emitter. And as you can see here, now it's in here. And that's how you basically do it all the time. If you open another collection, let's say this Spark ImpactFX package, you pick one out that you really like and check them all out by singling them out. This one is really cool, so I'm gonna select that. Go to the new particle system, click on the magnifying glass, so that's actually selected in the content browser. You don't need to click the magnifying lens, but you can also just select it here. And if I click on this one and I have it selected, go to the spark collection, right mouse click on the impact that I want and do export emitter, it will be exported to this one, as you can see now here. And this is going to be the basic workflow. I'm just going to try and create something really quick. Now initially I really want this star spark to be quite whitish, so let's see what I can do. I'm going to go to dynamic. Let's see if the desaturate is helping. Yeah, it is. I'm going to set it to 1 so it's nice and white. I might actually go for a little bit more yellow, so maybe 0.9, 0.8, maybe 0.7 even, and just play around a little bit with the hue shifts until I get a bit more of a bluish color. And we're getting there. About 0.5, so let's do 0.55. And we have a nice whitish color. Sometimes a light blue might actually look more white than actual white. That's what they also do in clothing. Makes it more white. Well, that's because there's a little bit of a blue tint in there. Alright, so that's that. I'm not gonna bother with this impact yet. I need a ring. So back to the collections, particle systems, and so we pick a radial ring or one of the other rings. I'm gonna go for one of the other rings in the ring collection. There. I got quite a few here, but I want a simple ring, and this one is simple enough. You can change some things in here, but I'll explain that once I exported it to this one. Click on the magnifying glass, and then right click on this, emitter, export emitter, and now it should be in here, as you can see there. With the arrow keys you can move them left and right, and in this case I want it next to the star spark, and again I'm going to change the color. So let's see if I can desaturate it a little bit by setting it to 1. But in this case, that ring might not work. Let's go to scale color. Everything's right. Okay, let's change the color in here. It should be a slightly bluish, and I'm gonna save that color so I can easily keep using it. And the end color should also be slightly bluish, but maybe a bit more dark. It's only a little effect, so you might not even notice it when it's going this fast. And I also want that ring to be a bit smaller. Actually, I also want the star spark to be smaller. So I'm going to go to initial size and do about 0.33 there. I'm also going to do the initial size of the ring. I think 2 might work there. Alright, and this is already interesting. I'm not really going to need the impact, but let's see. You can use it, but I'm not going to go with that for now. Okay, so what else can I do now? I'm just going to goof off a little bit until I get something that I really like. And in this case, I want to get a initial location module. So location, initial location. I'm going to go for a seated one and shift and drag it to the other one. There. And I'm also going to go to the spawn real quick. Actually, I can probably use both. So I'm going to hold down shift, left mouse, drag, and move it so that everything is the same thing. Because I want to spawn 3 actually, but I don't want them on the same location, which is why I'm using the initial location. And with the seed, I can make sure that the locations are a bit more correct. You don't need a parameter name in this case, but I'm just going to name it something simple like 3-way. And I'm going to add a seed array. Anyone is fine, so let's just do something. And then change the initial locations. Let's say we want something that's maximum 20 away, maybe 30. The Y should be the same, Z should also be 30. And let's go with -30 for the other ones. There. And now you have something that's like this. But as you can see, they are all emitted at the same time. And that might be a bit meh. So let's change this again. I only want to emit 1, but I'm gonna add 2 more. So 1 here and another count 1 here. In this case, the time should, for the first one should be 0. The other one could be 0.2, maybe 5 even. And let's do 0.1 for this. And as you can see, there's now a delay between each. We might want to increase it a little bit. So let's try 0.75 and 0.15 to give it a slight delay. Because you're using the initial location seed on both of them, it will always apply the same location effects to each of them, and which is what we want. Now we have something like this. We can change the initial location a little bit more if we want to, of course. You can distribute it with endpoints, that kind of stuff, but we don't really need that. Randomly select seed. That's not something that's needed now. This is fine enough. Though, if you want, you can add more seeds, but that might mess it up a little bit. As you can see that there are now... Let me slow it down for you. As you can see that it's now messing it up a little bit. But if you remove this one, it actually works. Let me see if I can actually enable that. I've never been able to properly get that. You can see instance seed index doesn't work. Get seed from instance. Maybe that works. No, it sadly doesn't. Okay, so let's just delete this and keep the seed that I like. So there, maybe 1337 because it's funny. And just play around with this value until you get something that you really like. And I think that this works fine in my case. Alright, so that's that. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit again. And get something like this. It might be a bit too straight line downwards, so yeah, I can keep playing around with it, but and every value is something different. Actually, this works. So let's keep it at that for now. Now, additionally, I want some sparks, and I do have a few already available. I got a spark collection here and another spark collection there, etc, etc. Which one I'm gonna pick? I wanna use CPU particles for this probably. So let's see. I think that spark collection really should work. Or maybe a few cool ones in here. So let's see what this is. That one won't work. That one won't work. Might work, but nah. This could work, though it's a bit slow. So keep this in mind. I'm gonna remember C4. Let's see what else we have here. C6. C6 is even better, so I'm gonna probably go for that. Let's see. Oh, call me your mouse. This also looks quite cool. Okay, I think I'm gonna go for C6. So, like we did before, select the particle system you want to export to, click on the magnifying lens, go back to the collection, right mouse click on the one you want to export, and export the emitter. Now keep in mind, if you have it singled out, it will mess up everything. Don't do that. So always make sure that it's not singled out before you export. And as you can see here, we have some sparks going on. And I want them white, of course, so I'm going to check the color over live. I'm going to grab that blue color again. There. And that looks kind of cool. Maybe I'm going to go for a slightly more bluish color, see how that looks. So, let's go for just the regular white one now, for now. There. I want to decrease their size though, so I'm going to make them a bit smaller. 2, 5, and Z doesn't really work, so I put random values in there occasionally. 6, 12, 12, okay. Now they're a bit thinner. And I need to set the spawn differently because it only has one burst. So I'm gonna add 2 more. And in this case, the next burst is 40 and 30. This means that there's a maximum of 40 spawned and a minimum of 30. And that's gonna happen at 0.075. And then this one is gonna be 30 sparks and 20 sparks. And it's gonna happen at that value. And now you get something like this. Let me add the floor real quick to see what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna increase the lifetime a little bit on some of them. So let's say 1.45 maybe. There it gives a bit more variation. Alright, that's that. Let's see, anything else we could add that looks cool. Let's add a chaos spark because those are always cool. Back to the content browser. And open the Chaos Spark collection there. And there are quite a few, but I already have one that I might be interested in, and that's the rainbow version. I already set one up. I set it up so that in the U shift, it's going changing color over time. So let's check out that one real quick. And that might look really cool, especially with the colors combined with the white. That might really work. So I'm going to go back to the impact. Again, click on that lens. Right mouse click. Emitter, export emitter. There we go. And you have something like this. And that looks quite cool. What do I need to change? I'm going to go to spawn again because I need to add 2 more bursts. So 1 there and maybe end with a more explosive one and spawn 3 at the end. So, 7.5 again, and this one is going to be 0.15. But as you can see, it's a bit too chaotic. Let's go back to 1 and see if that works better. It looks okay. It might be a bit too bright, but we can change the scale color over live to be a bit lower. Let's say 50. And yeah, that looks much better. Okay. I also think that I should increase the brightness a little bit of those sparks. I'm going to go to that scale color and maybe raise it to 60. There, and I'm going to do the same for the ring perhaps. That way it's a bit more bright and matches the fadings. I do think it's a bit too chaotic, so I'm going to see if I can change that a little bit. Maybe remove the center one. Let's see. I think maybe 1 is more than enough. But let's do it at the end instead of the beginning. Okay, I'm not really happy with that. So let's see, what can we do? Let's slow it down a little bit. All right, I want to make them a little bit smaller. So let's go with 0.55 for max. Doesn't matter if you do the min or the max inverted, that's totally fine. 0.66 for the minimum. Let's speed it up again. There. And now I'm gonna try and start out with a bit more whitish color maybe. Let's see, can we do that? Not really with this version. So we can set the color over live to white. A bit more whitish, I guess. Pick the blue one. And make the end color a bit more reddish actually. There. As you can see, there's a lot less color now. And that can work in our advantage. I'm gonna add a little bit more color so I get something that looks fine. I think this works quite well. Alright, for the end spark, we can also add a U-shift. I'm gonna change the distribution constant to a constant curve. And about halfway of their lifetime, I'm gonna start changing the color. Let's see how that looks like in slow motion. So they're quite white, so you might not see that. I might need to change the color over live to something a bit more bluish. And see if that helps. It does help, definitely help. Okay. Back to normal speed, and now you get something like this. Okay, let's just keep it at this for now, because I can keep going and keep adding stuff, but I'm already at 17 minutes, so I want to kind of close it. I can close all the collections now, because I don't need them anymore, but there's something quite important that I still need to double check. And that's the LODs. LODs are quite important. I mean, if you have a 2D side-scroller game, it might not be that important, but if you are in a 3D game and something is really far away, you don't want to spawn all the particles when you can go with a lot less. I'm gonna save for now real quick and check another LOD. Now for some of them, especially the sparks, I already set up an initial size, which is slightly bigger than the previous one. As you can see here, 6, 11. Actually, I need to properly duplicate from higher first and then increase them. So I'm gonna just add 1 to each of them. 6, 6, and 7, 13. This means that if the sparks are a little bit farther away in the camera, then they are slightly bigger. This makes them a bit more visible, and that's just better looking from a distance, in my humble opinion. I'm gonna also go to LOD2, and again duplicate from higher, but in this case I'm gonna add 2 to them. So it's gonna be 5, 8, 8, 9, 15, 15. That way I'm sure that they are quite visible. Additionally, I'm going to go back to LOD 0 and make sure that I can see each of them. As you can see, there's a spawn of minimum 50 and 25, 40 and 30, and 30 and 20. I'm actually going to lower this value a bit to about 20 and the last one to 10. There. And now I need to go to another LOD. And I'm going to right mouse click on it again. Duplicate from higher. There. Now I can lower these values. Let's say I'm gonna spawn about 15, 10 less. So let's go with 14, 40, 15, then 30, 10, and 20. Well, let's keep it at 10 in this case. There. And again, I need to do LOD2 for that. So back to the LODs, right mouse click on it, duplicate from higher, right mouse click on them, expand all. That's easily to open everything, and lower these values quite a bit again. So let's go with 20 and 10, and 15 and 8 or so, and let's do 12 and 5. There, and that's some simple optimizations that you can do. As you can, I'm going to go back to LOD. You can see that the sparks are a bit smaller, but you're looking at it from much closer. And if you move further away, then the sparks are getting bigger, but there's less of them. And you can also change initial sizes of meshes and that kind of thing. So let's double check that. Back to LOD 1 and make sure that there's nothing is weird. So in this case, the color of life needs to be a share from higher, and again here, share from higher. And that's all I need to do in this case for the LODs, I think. I'm gonna double check real quick. Should all be fine. And we have a new effect. I don't need the character anymore now, so I'm gonna delete that. Make sure that the LEDs are set up. In this case, I'm using it at 8 meters and 15 meters, but you can change it to whatever you want, of course. There are no GPU sparks, so I don't need to set the bounce properly. And I'm gonna add a screenshot because that always looks nice. I'm gonna save it first. Slow it down to about 30%. If you want to know how to slow it down, you can go to time and in anim speed. There you have 100%, 50% speed, and etc. But there are no shortcuts normally. So what you can do, let's show that real quick. Go to Edit, Editor Preferences, Keyboard Shortcuts, and if you have Cascade open, this option in here will open. It's not visible if you haven't opened Cascade yet, so keep that in mind. And in here you can say something like 1% speed and 100% speed, etc. So I set all those things. Also added another few shortcuts that easily help me speed up my workflow. For instance, duplicate and share emitter. I added Ctrl-Shift-W for that, and duplicate emitter, Ctrl-Shift-W. I can show the geometry, the floor with H. I can show the grid with G, etc., etc., etc. So make sure that you take a look at the keyboard shortcuts because those can really speed up your workflow. Anyways, might need to include screenshots. I'm going to go generate thumbnail. I'm going to start it and see if it looks cool. And I can zoom in a little bit more in my humble opinion. I'm quite nitpicky about it, so let's see if I can get something really cool. And that looks quite representable of what it is. Let me see if I can find a little bit better. I'm quite nitpicky. That might work. One more time. Yeah, that's the one. So, and now I have a new particle system. And this is just a simple one. You can go as far as creating new material instances for it, where you tweak all those effects. Some of them don't really have much functionality, but some of them actually are able to generate quite a few cool additional effects. Already explained that in another video. One more thing I want to point out, that is the ring, real quick. And there's this dynamic. Obviously it has the U shift and desaturation, but it also has the ring type and ring tiling amount. The ring type, that's actually swapping between those 4 images that I showed you in 3ds Max. Let me show you real quick. I think it's this one, actually, that one. Ring type will swap between either of these images, and in this case, this material actually has a few textures of them, as you can see here. There's 4 different textures, and this dynamic actually is set to 2, but if I change it to 1, you get one with a hole, as you can see. You change it to 0, it's the same one. 3 gives a bit more of this effect, and 4 gives a slightly different effect, but I'm going to go for 2. And additionally, you can use the ring tiling amount. Let me show you that with the other one with the holes. If I change the tiling amount, you get more holes because it's tiling the texture a bit more, and that way you have a bit more variation on what's going on. Anyways, in my case, 1 is fine, and I'm going to go back to this distribution of 2. There. I think that's it. Definitely make some cool spark effects if you have the package, and show me them, because I would really appreciate to see what other people make with my package. Alright, that's it. Take care. Have a nice day.